Hello and welcome to Show Up, Stand Out online visibility series for entrepreneurs, where I bring you amazing people from all over the world to share their stories, their strategies, and help you move forward towards success. And today I have Sushmita Jain. Sushmita is a friend of mine, and she's also known as the community queen. And considering that I'm a queen of visibility, we have a good company here. This is all royals. Sushmita, welcome to the show.
Hello, everyone, and I come from the city of Bollywood. That's where I come from. That's Mumbai, India. And just like Juliette said, I'm known as the community queen. And it all started with a crazy ride, where I am, with a background which is India, which is fascinating because you're exactly, like the normal audience goes. I am someone who actually did my engineering. So as per my qualifications, I'm an engineer. But then slowly I transitioned from, being an engineer to being a freelancer, to then being a consultant, to now being a business mentor. So it's been an entirely crazy journey of 8 years of experiences and, fun plus all amazing stories. And there's so much to share that, I just can keep on talking about it. So that's how it is.
Very good. Actually, Sushmita's speciality right now is the community building. And this is such a hot topic because I think that a lot of people don't misunderstand that the social media, particularly, it's important to do it offline, but social media is where we build our communities. And this is where the misunderstanding starts, especially with a lot of business owners who grew up in a more traditional thinking about business, and business plans and, revenue oriented. Yes, we're all revenue oriented anyway, but what is left sort of without attention, without due attention, is the community building by not just getting your customer database, growing it, but actually creating relationships with those customers. And social media is where we do that. And sometimes it's very difficult to prove, the return on investment on your social media activities, because it's not always translates in money, but it does translate in loyalty, and it does translate in relationships and word of mouth and people coming back to you and only wanting to do business with you. And this is amazing. How do you, when you are working with people and you're building communities, what is your take on this? How do you approach this? Say if I was a businessman who doesn't understand, or a woman who doesn't understand the world of social media, how would you get me to understand it?
See, this is something which I actually usually go and experience on mostly daily basis, because that's exactly how it works. When it comes to social media, the aspect which people look at is that, okay, when it comes to Facebook, it's Facebook pages, all you have to do is publish some posts and, your audience will start pooling in and people will react, or plus apart from that, run some ads, and those who are interested in your product, they will pool in, engage. But that's not exactly how it works, because even if you look at big brands, right? They have a story to tell. They have a certain hook which connects every audience with them. Like, for example, we look at Apple. They're not actually just a brand, they are a lifestyle brand, where when you have Apple products which you're using, it's a certain lifestyle that you are actually supporting or you're living. And that's how the audience which is associated with Apple, they are in that zone. They won't go for products like Samsung, because then it's not a lifestyle brand. It's a mass brand. It's not actually, where only certain people would be interested in the product. They have products ranging right from the entry level products to extremely high level VIP not packages, but VIP products and stuff like that. So it's all about understanding one thing, that when it comes to social media, if we think of it this way, that communities have been present right from, when we were in the tribal ages. So that time, well, obviously one community maybe was, certain specific to a certain cave where a certain group of people were living. Then they started traveling. They started traveling from one place to the other. Then they met other people from different communities, which actually led to, communities connecting with each other, conflicts, and stuff like that. And that's how humans behave. They connect with other people either when their values and the way they think meet, they would actually, grow together and prosper together, or they'll obviously fight, they'll have their own issues and stuff like that, or they'll try and take over other people. But when it comes to the communities which we are experiencing right now, these are all global communities, because now it's not that we have barriers when it comes to, maybe our boundaries, when it comes to maybe we cannot connect with people across the sea, or we cannot connect with people who are from neighboring countries. Now it's like we are, and actually we're so far away from each other, but still we're having this conversation. We have the liberty of having this conversation because we're connected via social media first. We got to know each other first, and then we knew that we are a right fit when it comes to having this conversation for our audiences. And that's the exact reason why we chose to share our value with each other and with our audience in the coming time. So communities are not just, something where it's about people who are gonna buy your products. Communities are people who are either gonna be with you in your entire journey, but they won't ever purchase your products, but they would even refer you to those people who they know would need your product. So this is something which takes a lot of time, for people to understand, because they want instant results. They are like, okay, if I'm running this campaign, how many sales I would be getting. But then the thing is that you need to think of the longer duration. You need to think of long-term strategies. It's not that you would run campaigns 24/7. You're gonna have certain launches, or you're gonna have certain offers at certain point of time. But apart from that, how are you going to connect with your audience? How are you gonna actually be, and the reason why people follow anyone, whether it's an influencer, whether it's an entrepreneur, whether it's a business, whether it's a brand, is that they have a certain connection with them. So even for Gary Vee, all the amazing hustlers are gonna follow Gary Vee because they love hustling, right? Now, when it comes to Kim Luna, she has a certain personality type, and plus it's a journey, the way she has transitioned, and right now what she's going through. Her audience is also changing from time to time. If we look at it, I mean, just for a second, if people do take time out and go and check out the conversation, just for the purpose of research, go and check out Kim Luna's page and check out the conversations that used to happen between the audiences. Either it's amongst them, or it's with the comments that do come on her post. They were entirely different set or categories of women who did connect with her before, then who connect with her now, because now it's not just a brand is changing, it's what she's going through. And the reason why the women who are connecting with her more are actually even following more her is changing. So that's how brands grow, evolve, and that's how we all grow and build a community. It's always gonna evolve. It's always gonna be connecting with more people, and as well as at the same time some people will be pulling out as well, which is not wrong, because you're not the same person your entire lifetime. Just like you grow, the same way you change the way you think as well. It evolves, changes, adapts, or because of your experiences you look at certain things in a certain way which might or might not connect with people. So people need to understand this. It's not about just running campaigns. It's about connecting with people. That's how it should go, actually. So it takes time, but I have to work on it.
But that's absolutely true. And in fact, this is going back to the roots of how business used to be run so many years ago, when when the communities were more localized, and every business owner would really care about portraying a certain image, and knowing everybody and looking after everybody, whether they're spending a lot of money or whether they're not spending a lot of money, because they knew that, say, a bad word of mouth would destroy their business. If they do something that, they undermine somebody and that somebody will complain, that will have so much more damage to their business, which is hard to, it's absolutely possible to reverse if you're authentic, because people also forgive. This is something that a lot of business owners and people who are growing their personal brands, they don't understand. They think that if you make a mistake, everybody's going to hate you, and that's it, But all it takes is to be genuine and, apologizing and from the heart explaining your position, and people understand. People forgive each other all the time. There's so many big mistakes that brands make, and they come back.
And it's like people don't just understand, they can even feel whether someone is actually truly feeling sorry about it or they're just saying it for the sake of it. People can feel that. It's like emotions, just like we say, they are felt. So if the brand is apologizing truly from their heart, the audience would actually feel that. If it's just for the sake of it, well, they're not going to actually, just accept the apology and they're going to move on. It's like, for example, look at the way, like you said, when we go back to the roots, look at the farmers market. When we used to go, or when rather our parents used to go to the farmers market, they would go back every single time to that one single vendor, even though there were n number of vendors in the entire market, because they trusted him. They had that connection with that amazing vendor, and plus even he understood what would the person who's coming to them be looking for, or what is their taste, and he would offer them exactly what they need. So that's exactly what community is about. Back then, communities restricted to, say, maybe 100 or 200 people who are connected. That's exactly how it was. Initially the number used to be that a certain person, even though how many friends they would have a certain number, which is around, on an average, 150 people who would connect with them the most, and they would engage with the most. Now obviously the number cannot be 150 anymore. We have more than 150 friends connected with us on Facebook, and we engage with them as well from time to time, which is even much more fun.
I think that in online marketing, it translates to this sort of, well, it's not a fact, guys, but it is a myth that out of every 100 people, one will buy. Actually, honestly, I had once a situation where I sent a newsletter to 300 people and 3 of them engaged in the offer that I was sending. And I laughed because I said, this is it. Now I have a fact that 1 in 100 buys from you. But it's true, and it's in a way, in a smaller community, this example that, farm market and a vendor who has it all, he's not going to connect to every single one. There'll be people who hate him. Maybe he's too much in their face, like, or something. There will be always this thing that you like people or you don't like these people, and that's how you engage. It really is the same with the brands, and that gives us, and it's great as well that we can evolve. I find that when it comes to branding and building your community, you should never think and put yourself in a box and be afraid to change, because especially if you're building a personal brand, for example, like Kimra Luna, who you mentioned, when you're building a personal brand, it's all about you and what you stand for. And if that changes, which is okay, because we are dynamic creatures and we grow and learn, and from these lessons we grow and evolve, and sometimes we take U-turns. I have taken U-turns in my life. Now I love doing that. Even if whatever I was saying 2 years ago, I can take a U-turn and say, you know what, I actually disagree with that now, because I've had this and this and this experience, and it shows me I was wrong, or I didn't see it. So now I see it. So growing like this, and what happens all the time is that you are building these strong relationships with people who resonate with you. They may grow with you in synchronicity, or they may not grow with you, and then they go their own way. It's not unlike our lives, our friends in lives. You can grow up, you go to school together, your teens, early 20s, you have a lot in common. Comes 40s, you might not have that in common at all. You might speak completely different languages because you've evolved. And sometimes it's the same in some marriages, and people getting married earlier, and then 20 years later, they're strangers in the same house because they grew apart, because they evolved in different ways. And when you understand that, and you think, okay, social media, too many people think it's media, as in the channel for them to advertise, but it's more social. It's social. This is people's business in a way. I think that when you embrace that and you start looking at creating a community from a point of view of actually creating relationships with people and seeing what's common grounds, you can, because you can't ever attract somebody who just is not your type of person.
No, you definitely cannot. And the best part is, I think back when we started with social media, it started as social media. Then for some point of time, it did evolve and actually just, focused on being media when it comes to brands, obviously not to people. This is not a conversation for just normal layman people. This is for, brands and entrepreneurs. That's what we're talking about. But now I see people coming back and connecting with the fact that they need to connect with the audience. They may or they may not realize that they are focusing slowly towards community building, but when you have a conversation with them and then they realize that, yes, this is exactly what I want to focus on. I want to connect exactly with the kind of people who are not just connected with me via my work, but they believe in me, they connect with my values, and we all could grow together. As in, I see communities in two different ways, actually. So there are internal communities where we run businesses, just like you said, with other business owners. So we connect with like we are two amazing business owners who are friends. So we could run a business together via either sometimes, referring each other. So that's our internal community where we are connecting with the right people and growing together. Plus there's the external community where we connect with those who would work with us, and that's a different community altogether. And then sometimes if we think even more deep, like their organizations, they have their internal communities, which is their teams, as well as their customers, their audiences, as their external community. So it's all about looking at it from the depth and thinking of, in which direction do you want to go, and do you want to keep it long term or do you want to keep it short term? Because short term makes no sense. You do all the work and then it's not going to give you any results in the long term. So that makes no sense. Like, I would agree with you when you said, we do take U-turns in our life. Like, for example, when I started from, my transition from being an engineer to being a freelancer, the sole reason why I did take that transition was because I was not interested in what I was doing, which was, working in the research industry. And I rather wanted to be my own boss. And that's exactly why most people go from, go through the transition phase rather. But then as slowly I grew, slowly I evolved, I did work with other people. And plus I did understand myself. It's like, entrepreneurship or running business is actually understanding yourself much, much more every single day. So every day you come to know something about yourself, and you definitely would be surprised about it, at least if not on daily basis, weekly, monthly, in some way or the other. It is all about, understanding yourself, and plus working on your personal development as well, because like we said, we're evolving, we're developing. So back then, that's why I started. But now today, I actually don't agree with that, because even if you want to go through a transition, think something deeper. Because when I went through that transition, I loved marketing. But today, it's not about just marketing for me. It's about rather helping businesses grow their, loyal customer base, because that's what makes them happy, and that's what makes me happy as well. Because when they have their results, when they are celebrating their results, when they're sharing their results with us, it makes us smile. And that is what exactly it is all about. It's not about us or what we want to do. It's about what our audience wants and how we can make that happen for them in a certain way where they would fall in love with their work even more. So even when it comes to community building, I try to, present it in a certain way to them, so that they would understand it in their own language rather than it would be my own language for them, because then that is going to be a foreign language for them.
It's so true. And the thing is that the shift when you're talking to, if you're a business owner and you just don't see why spend so much effort and why spend, because there is no immediate sales, there's no immediate, return on investment in a way. And as a visibility strategist, I deal with that all the time. I have to persuade everybody that trying to put this time, investing your time into being visible and not investing money into throwing some Facebook ads, it's not the same thing. But building your visibility and building your personal brand and authority, position of authority, pays off 100%. It's just not going to pay off within a month or 2 months or 3 months, because it takes time. But then when your brand authority grows and people see you as an expert, things change drastically, and there is a return, there is referrals, there is, you know, people approaching you just from your content. It doesn't mean that all you have to do is write. You have to build relationships, you have to talk to people. I love how you mentioned that when you're a business owner, that you're actually you're kind of dealing with your growth on maybe even daily basis. Definitely every week there's something that you have to overcome, like resistance, you know. So it's such a huge personal journey process, and I think that some people get lucky and they don't go through that. But I think that when you're doing it properly and you're really investing your time, because you don't have the funds or investment, you know, monetary investment to just grow your business that way, I don't even know how you would, because I think you have to go through this mindset growth, you know, to really step into being in control and taking responsibility and owning whatever it is, failures, successes. You own everything you do.
It's a journey, you know. There's no shortcut. It's a journey which you definitely should go through, because if you won't connect with the process. You won't have that connection at all, because then it's just that, you know, you're having those wins and you're having that amazing time running your business, but it's not the journey where it would be fun anymore, because it's all mechanical work, and mechanical work does not actually please you that much. As if you're not connected with your work emotionally, it's not going to bring happiness to you. So if you're not connected,
going to translate directly in your energy, how you're dealing with your customers, and the customers subconsciously instantly will react, and you will start seeing that how much harder it becomes, but actually it's just all within you. And this is such a, you know, I do believe that in energy exchange, and, you know, everything is really about that energy ball that you are, you know, and it's funny how when you let it go and you're not going through the head, but you're actually going through your energy, through your soul, and things flow and you're fearless and you're not expecting, they're not getting stressed out. When's my, you know, I need a client or this and this, things start coming back. So the more you give, the more you're actually getting back. Giving is so important in this, I find.
Exactly, because even when it comes to relationship, just like look at dating, right? When you're dating someone, so you cannot expect everything from the person who's on the other side. It's all about the relationship that's going to work two ways. Similarly, it is when it comes to running a business. Well, it's not like dating, but it is where it's a relationship that's been building, whether it's with your brand via a certain team member, whether it's with your brand via they getting to know you because you're a personal brand. There are going to be different dynamics to it, but that's how it is. Like, for example, you know, when you said that people don't understand the process of organic growth, they're like, just let's run ads and, you know, make some money and have some sales and just let's get done with it. But the thing is, and I say this every time, because I love coupling both these things, which is organic growth as well as the ads and inorganic growth. Because when you are on that journey, initially you need to, you know, build that organic reach, connect with the core audience, and then invest in ads and pull in more people. But then what changes is that when you have a certain, you know, really connected audience, which is your core audience, they're connected with your work, they love you for who you are and plus for what you're doing. Other people who see your ads, they can feel that energy. They can actually see that connection. So it's not something where it's just an ad which is visible to them. It's rather a conversation, a story, a dynamic, an emotional response with few people that they are checking out, and that excites them even more to check the ad out, which totally makes sense. And plus, even in the long term, if someone who's been running ads for a long time and they're getting clients, it's not about just running the ads. When you run ads, or when you have someone as a client, if I do this, you know, with my clients as well, when we work, say maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, once we've started working together and we've had our calls and stuff like that, I ask them, what was the journey which you went through, which made you take the decision of working with me? And they would actually give me the entire series. You know, I saw your this post, then I went and I checked your website, then I went and I saw your Facebook page, I saw the reviews, I saw your content on your, you know, Facebook profile, this and that. So they have that fresh in their memory because it was an entire journey for them and they loved being part of that journey. And that's the reason why they took the decision to not just invest their money, they're investing their time as well. It's not about just the investment which is coming from, you know, the monetization bit. It's also about the time they're going to invest with you. It's also about how they're going to feel when they're working with you. And that's the reason why they're even going to refer more people to work with you in the coming time. So you need to work on these bits, and people have been working on these bits consciously or subconsciously. It's just that we are focusing on that aspect and actually being vocal about it. That's the only difference.
That is so true. That is so true. Sushmita, it was so nice to have you on the show. I just don't want the show to end, but we're living in a busy world. So if people want more of you, where do they go?
Well, definitely come and connect with me in my Facebook group because I have so much amazing content coming there. And as a bonus, I do, you know, amazing masterclasses as well out there. So it's something which they should definitely check out if they are looking for to not just build, but also scale their communities further.
Perfect. What is the group called?
It's called Build Communities That Scale with Sushmita Jain.
Perfect. We're going to have a link with this interview. So guys, go and join the group. Absolutely worth it. Sushmita, thank you so much for being my lovely guest today and sharing so much value. Really, really, really deep value, I think, with so many takeaways. You know, build your relationships just as you do in your life. Don't be afraid that you're evolving. Don't be afraid that some people might not go, you know, along with what you're doing, but focus on this building relationship, building who you are, and really giving. Really giving. And, you know, forget about, it's not about the short-term revenue goals when it comes to social media. It's, you know, it's, you just said dating, but, you know, when we go on a date, we don't straight away say, okay, are we going to get married and when is this going to happen? You know, it's the process and you have to enjoy it because it could be the best time ever. Best time than after the marriage.
And that's got to be an addition next time when I use my dating example, because I love that example, but now you've just given me, you know, one more layer to add up on it. And before we leave, just one thing that I wanted to say. So in India, you know, there are many religious books and texts and stuff like that. So there's a book which is called as Bhagavad Gita. And in that book, there's one saying, I'm going to say it in Hindi first and then I'm going to translate it in English. So it says, Karam karte jao, phal ki chinta mat karo. So which means keep doing, you know, work from your end and don't worry about the fruit. You would harvest it in the coming time and it is going to be an amazing harvest. So keep doing from your end, keep offering the value and invest in the relationships, and you would, you know, have amazing benefits from it as well.
That is so beautiful. And it's today is just the theme of the day is don't listen to naysayers, keep going, have your vision and keep going, keep doing it. Have the blind faith that whatever your mission is, you're on the right track, whatever you do. And I always believe that. Wonderful message to send us all. Thank you so much, Sushmita. Thank you everybody for watching this episode of Show Up, Stand Out. I will be with you next week with another amazing guest. And if you have joined Sushmita's group and if you have any questions, definitely pop them in the comments of this video. Share it out. People need to hear this more. People need to start seeing social media for what it is so they can take advantage of this. And actually, this is a really fulfilling thing to build relationships with people who really get you. It's a great thing. We don't even get that opportunity sometimes in the real life because of the location and everything. So take advantage of that. Share this video out and join us on the next week, the same time. Show Up, Stand Out. Thank you so much, guys, and goodbye.